Hey everyone, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by Chuggaaconroy to give our post-review thoughts on Xenoblade Chronicles 2, as both of us have beaten it. However, we won't be going into any story spoilers. And with all that said, let's get started. So yeah, Emil, one of the things we don't want to do for this discussion in particular is spoil anything about the game. Just story-wise or stuff like that. I mean, we're going to be mainly focusing on the combat, how we thought, the music. There's so much else to talk about beyond just the story. Although, I think we can both sum it up that we both enjoyed that story incredibly so.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much for having me, of course. And yeah, we're not going to be classic Andres about the story.
He's gotten better.
No. That's why I say classic Andre. You see, it's a distinction like modern Sonic. And
exactly. We
Sonic.
got our modern Andre now.
Yeah. He's edgier, got more attitude though, but he's good about spoilers.
There you go.
Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The story was immensely enjoyable. I think it's very worth your time. I don't know where I'd rank the story in the grand scheme of things, but I certainly liked it better than X's story, but X's focus wasn't really on the story, so I don't know.
It was definitely more on the characters, but the thing is, I think 2 does a good job of focusing on the characters as well, and as I said in my review, I think this game does better than 1 in keeping the story, each of the characters relevant throughout the entirety of the story.
Oh, definitely. Everyone has some kind of moment of awesomeness where they're important to each chapter of the story. There's multiple conflicts going on that involve all of them. There's some characters where, you're kind of thinking you're still guessing long after that character's introduction of what they're actually going to do, and it's like that even for characters that aren't super important to the plot, where they're still at least interesting enough and involved enough in the plot that you still are engaged in them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is one sequence early on, that I got to that I was like, I love this section so much. It is just so much fun. And the funny thing is, now I can clarify where it was for you. It was the section where you were having a lot of trouble because. Oh. Yeah.
You mean most of the game, though.
Yeah, I guess we should get into that because you ready for some embarrassment?
Okay.
Because here's the thing, I'm playing through the game like, man, I'm rocking out, having not too much trouble, and then I talk to you, and you're like, oh my god, I had so much trouble with this part, and I had so much trouble with this part. I don't know, this character doesn't seem that good. Like, what am I doing something wrong? What's going on? And then it took us a while, but we figured it out.
Okay, so I remember thinking the game was actually pretty easy for the first 30 or 40 hours where I was never dying, and I was thinking, hey, this is pretty simple. I learned about 3/4 of the way through the game that I'd been misinterpreting the HUD for most of the adventure, and it was making the game loads harder. I thought that the elemental icon that was on enemies' health bars was telling me what their type was, not what their current weakness was. So I was seeing fire and thinking, okay, water puts out fire, so I'm gonna hit you with water. And it turns out, no, they're weak to fire, not weak to water. So I was never using elemental weaknesses. It was really bad, and it was making the game a lot harder because I was switching into blades that were bad decisions all the time and thinking I was doing a good job, and I was just like, wow, the enemies have a lot of health in this game.
Yeah, and then the other part was, and I definitely want to put this out there because it is kind of an easy mistake to make. You'll get a notification saying, hey, this blade learned this affinity, so they have this bit powered up. So you think, oh, okay, they already have that ability. I don't have to look at it in order to confirm it or anything like that. But no, you want to go into that affinity chart to have it actually activate, because it won't activate until you look at their affinity chart. And that kind of happened naturally for me because I was constantly looking at my blade's affinity and being like, okay, I need to do this in order to unlock this bit, unlock that, and just keep them growing. But you never felt the need to because you were just trying to get through the story and enjoy it for what it was, correct?
Yeah, I saw the notifications on the side of the screen. I thought that meant, oh, okay, I've learned that skill, but it turns out if you don't go into the pause menu and look at that blade's affinity chart, it doesn't actually level it up and let you start working toward the next one. So, not knowing that, I thought I was leveling up my skills just fine, but there's story-important blades that, that I had played through a lot of the game, having all their skills like level 1 or level 2, and just being blissfully unaware of it.
So you were playing on super hard mode.
Basically, yeah.
And still making decent progress, but it just, battles took forever for you.
That does bring me into one of my actual complaints with this game, and it's really a shame that this is a complaint of mine, because it wouldn't be a difficult fix. And I haven't played it since the day one patch, so I don't know, maybe they fixed this, maybe they haven't. I wish you could review tutorials at any time. The battle system is complicated. It does do a good job tutorializing you, where it introduces new concepts just often enough that it keeps things interesting, but it's still a lot to take in, and there were a few times where I was just kind of wishing I could read the manual again to make sure I wasn't missing anything, and I don't know if I would have had those problems if I could just have reread the tutorials at any moment, and both the original and X let you review the tutorials anytime that you like, so I don't know why this game couldn't have done that.
Yeah, I can understand that. I wish that option was there, because I was able to grasp each system as they get doled out, because I think this is the best teaching they've ever done. It's just they don't keep it around for you to review it if it didn't quite click the first time, because let's be honest, after using it, you have to use it a little bit to really have it click with you. And I felt like they gave you the space to do that, to learn the game, to get better at it, but you might have forgotten bits here and there that like make sense and how it works. Like, I made sure to read them pretty intently to make sure I knew exactly what I was doing, and it's really easy to just be like, okay, I think I got it, and move on. So that can be an issue, but again, when you read it and you get it, I think this is a great combat system, but being able to review it would be great, because I think didn't you ask me at one point what dexterity means?
Yeah, I actually, like, for a lot of the game, I was a little bit confused on what dexterity meant, though, because I really wanted to know that, and it was kind of frustrating that I couldn't review tutorials, though, so if something was explained like 50 hours ago and I just didn't remember what it said that one time, I couldn't review it, and of course, because pre-release there was no guides out, so I couldn't just look it up. I actually tried Googling, like, Xenoblade 2 dexterity to see if, like, any, like, trailer analysis maybe had made note of what it was, though, but I couldn't find anything about it, so...
Yeah, I mean, eventually, I never confirmed this, but I'm like 95% sure that it meant defense, and that seemed to be base where I went, because I cranked the dexterity of Torah, and he seemed to do pretty well with that.
But I guess that's the extent of my whole embarrassment, though. But like I had no trouble like with the other concepts in battle, and whenever enemies didn't have elemental weaknesses, because there's plenty that don't, I didn't really have trouble with those. It's just oftentimes whenever there was some legitimately hard boss fight where you're supposed to take advantage of that stuff, I was having trouble with it.
Yeah.
There is that one boss fight that you, even knowing what you were doing with those mechanics, you agreed that it was really hard.
Yeah, there's some really tricky boss fights, but there's some of them are just so much fun, because what they are having you do, and the little things you got to do to counteract it, and oh my gosh, it can be kind of crazy. And again, it's all the more impressive that you actually did beat these things. And I didn't highlight these to point out like, oh, look at Chuggy, they messed up. It's more like, here's some pratfalls that you might fall into that you might want to avoid.
Oh no, these are things that I wish I knew on the first time. If I can put out a tip out there, I would recommend at least because I don't think they've patched it in yet, I'd recommend, at least for now, screenshotting the tutorials when they come up, just so if you want to review something 50 hours later, you can. Just because I think I really wish that I had personally done that, which I kind of wish the game told me that I wasn't going to get to review these, but I don't know why they would ever say that, though, but... I wish that I could have reviewed them at any time, though, because a lot of this, I was trying to intently read them, though. It's just that it's a long game and a lot gets explained, and sometimes you forget a couple of things, and those little tiny couple of things that are little footnotes in the tutorials, maybe you just wouldn't remember them much later.
And the thing is, it's weird, because they have 3 buttons on the D-pad that are focused on showing you tutorials for how what buttons are used. Just replace them with that, or add to it. That's where you get your little instructions for what you need to do.
I did think it was kind of weird how the controls are on hotkeys and not like deep in a menu somewhere.
Yeah, it is very odd.
Yeah, and like they stay on those hotkeys throughout the game though, so if like you accidentally tap a direction on the D-pad like when you think you're in a battle though, but you just barely tapped it before getting into a battle or something like that, it just, you pull up like a menu and you have to like tap it a couple times more to close it.
Yeah, it was a little odd, but it didn't happen to me too often, thankfully. And I didn't use this, but I do like the idea that you can customize the sound levels of everything in the game as much as you want.
Yes, easily. It's just the way that the default settings are, the characters get drowned out by the music at least some of the time. So I remember that I played with that right away, and I was all the much more glad for it.
Yeah, I should probably do that. Like, I didn't have issues with it, but it does, like, mostly came to be during Heart to Hearts, because you'd have the background music belting out because it doesn't know what's going on for you. It's just, in the background. They're not going to change the music for the Heart to Heart. And you have it kind of blaring over the characters actually talking to one another. So that's a little iffy, but you can fool around with it, figure it out what works best for you. But the thing is, I didn't want to lower the music because the music's so freaking good.
Of course. It's the good struggle. The not the only unique monster battle theme though. I guess if we can talk about the music for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Not the regular unique monster battle theme though, but the theme that plays when you fight other drivers. Oh my god, that song is so cool. Like, that was a song that I seriously liked it so much that I started a battle with just a random like unique monster driver that was just in a field somewhere, and as soon as the battle began, I immediately clicked on a chain attack and then just recorded the audio so I could listen to it anytime I wanted.
Yeah, because what you could do, if you don't want to have any voices or anything in there, just crank the music, lower everything else, get into a fight, and then there you go. You got all of it that you need.
Yeah, so I did that so I could have that song. I won't say which song, though, but there was one song that actually moved me to tears. It was just so good.
There was some, like, I'd hear and be like, yeah, I'm getting into this. It really just pumped you up, like the boss battle music, and you hear it right away. As soon as, like, you get into the end of Chapter 1 and fight that boss, I'm like, it builds up. I'm like, yeah, damn. I'm, like, really just pumped up by this. I'm like, I can't wait to kick this guy's butt and all of that. And then, of course, just other themes through it, like, I think this has been, it's been shown even by Nintendo's own footage. More Ordain's daytime music. Holy crap.
It has no right to be that good, is what you said when you got there for the first time.
Exactly. It just continues a tradition of desert themes and Xenoblade Chronicles being amazing.
Yeah, it's got about as good of a track record as the Mario and Luigi series does with desert themes.
Yeah, it's just, I heard it was like, okay, this, like, I liked the previous songs and they were really good, but there's something about More Ordain that just caught me in no other way. And that's the music I used for the opening of my review.
Yeah, I saw the review. So you had very good choice in the music, I'll say that much. Though. But then again, with a game like this, I don't think you can really go wrong.
Yeah, it's hard to make a bad choice.
I don't know. Speaking of like the beginning of Chapter 1, though, that was where I was really sold on, okay, yeah, this is going to be a good story, or okay, yeah, we're going to be fine. Mm-hmm. I saw the opening cutscenes just yesterday. I was watching somebody play through it, and I saw the beginning of the game again. I no longer think that the beginning of the game is really slow and tedious and uninteresting for like the first hour or so. I didn't want to like give exact timestamps like before the game actually released though, but I felt like the first hour of it wasn't really that interesting, but after that it was fine. I think I know the reason why I thought that. The night that I had gotten it, we were doing a TRG trip, like we were recording for the Runaway Guys with John and Tim. John was sick, and we called it a day on recording, and then that was when I'd gotten the message that like, hey, here's Xenoblade 2, and I'm like, what? And we were sitting around playing it, and I didn't really think it was annoying at the time, but like John was like riffing on it constantly, and I think it was just making it hard to get into. And it's like, I'm sure he meant well and was like trying to actually be funny though, but like he was like making fun of like everything like during the cutscenes, and it's just like I think that was just kind of keeping me from getting into it a little bit.
That could be because if you riff on it, you sort of it's a different mentality,
Yeah,
you're not letting the
like
story
I'm sure he
suck you
meant
in.
no harm by it.
Oh,
It's
of course
no
not.
big whoop. It's no big whoop though because I got into it just fine after like an hour though. But yeah, like those opening cutscenes like weren't as bad as I thought though. But he was like making fun of it and like talking over the cutscenes and stuff like that. And I'm just like,
Yeah, because I remember I started playing it much later, and I got to that opening cutscene. I was like, okay, yeah, this is not a lot's going on, but I am fascinated by this world. Like, we're seeing how Rex does the salvaging, seeing what's actually below the cloud sea, the fact that it's actually an ocean, and I'm like, what the hell? It's like,
yeah. What I was having during the opening cutscene was John like just being like, I don't like Rex's character design. Like, his uniform looks so realistic though, but his face doesn't. Like, what the hell? He's like too anime. And then when Gramps started talking and like was moving his mouth, John was going like but like at his mouth, and I'm just like,
which is fair.
I did. Yeah, it's just like looking back on it now, like seeing it without his snarky commentary, I'm realizing, okay, yeah, this is a good opening cutscene. John's just John.
Yeah, I mean, it is slow about building it up, and it also I like how it you get the backstory of Rex and the backstory of Allrest, and then you get to the Argentum Trade Guild, and they're showing all the shops and what you can do and how you just get Rex prepared. You guys have a few small quests that you can do, and it's sort of like just here's a nice little guided tour before we throw you to the deep end. And I like how they just take their time with everything, and once you start heading towards where you eventually find Pyra, that's where just things pick up, and by the end of chapter 1, it's like, oh my god, this is so good.
Oh, of course. Like every chapter ending is just fantastic though, but of course I won't get into it here. But I think the Argentum Trade Guild is a great tutorial area where it's big, but it's not too big, and it introduces a lot of the mechanics, and it does it pretty quickly and snappily. If snappily is even a word, it sounds kind of like I'm talking about the drink, but yeah, no, I think the beginning of the game is fine. Like, I don't have an issue with it like I did.
I would kind of laugh if, you got to the end of chapter 1, all of a sudden John just stops talking because he's so involved in it.
I think that's actually what happened. The only thing that he was saying was that he actually, I think the only thing he said over the chapter 1 ending cutscene was that he really liked one of the voice actors, but other than that, he just kind of shut up.
Okay.
Maybe that's what
if I had to guess if I had to guess which voice actor he was really digging, it'd probably be either it'd have to be either Pyra or Malos.
Malos is who he said he really liked.
Yeah, Malos is good.
Yeah, Malos is a good voice actor. But yeah.
Actually, let's get into the voice acting really quick. I mean, we're gonna jump all around here again. Nothing spoilerish or anything like that. But it's really easy to just jump around and not focus on any one thing.
I mean, that's kind of the game. It's like, they're like, okay, run to Torah and see what's going on in town. But it's like, oh, look, something shiny over that way, and then oh, look, a unique monster over there. And what was I doing again? And 3 hours later, you actually stumble into town.
Oh yeah, Torah. That's what I was supposed to do. No, I generally think the English voice acting is really good. I think they do a great job. The problem that a lot of them run into is, to me, they're attempting to match the lip flaps from the Japanese. And, when you do that, and it's been a downfall for plenty of projects like this, you start getting a lot more fragmented, where you want to match thing, but it's like, you are correct that you have to do this thing. That kind of, you go Shatner, essentially.
I was about to say it comes off like the sloth in Zootopia.
Yeah, exactly. And it breaks up some of those emotional moments. But whenever these actors don't have to match those voice flaps, holy crap, they turn in really good performances just almost all around, except for the fact that Rex can't scream.
Yeah, that's Rex not being able to shout like Adam Howden could was really my only issue with the main cast, but I wouldn't say that his performance is bad. I just would say it's not as good. And on top of that, I do kind of wonder if maybe not having him just shout like a maniac like Adam Howden could, I wonder if that was intentional because Rex is much younger, so his voice wouldn't be as developed.
That could be. He is just sort of...
He might just sound too manly and too gruff if they had him shouting like Shulk does.
Yeah, a little bit. I just it's just that whole like he's trying to keep it down so the neighbors don't hear him.
Yeah, whenever he would like fall off of a cliff like during gameplay.
Yeah, yeah, those bits, but oh well.
But no, like his personality is done well. I really like his snarky kind of wisecracking personality. I think he's really fun for that. And like even during gameplay, like he'll jump off a cliff and he'll just be like, "That was poorly judged" when he comes back.
I like that. It's like I love that moment. It's like, what the hell was I thinking?
He has so many good lines though. Just so it's like I don't think his performance is bad. I just think it's not quite as good. I would probably say that this has the weakest English voice acting, though, but that's not to say that it's like not one of the better English voice audio tracks that I've ever heard, like in a game, because the original and X just have such solid acting that I wouldn't expect like a lot of games to live up to that.
Mm-hmm. And I do appreciate all the accents, like Rex's accent, Nia's accent, like they do add some flavor to the proceedings and gives you that sort of idea from the original Xenoblade Chronicles, and I don't know, just something special about it. At least as an American, of course. I don't know.
Yeah,
British people might be like, whatever.
It's kind of funny though, because that was one of my praises of the original game was that I get that if you live in Europe, this isn't really a plus. It's just kind of exists though. But speaking as an American. Having like some people have English accents, others kind of have Cockney accents, others having, kind of more Scottish accents. Mm-hmm. Having all these different accents that are different from what I usually hear, it gives me a good feeling of immersion, like I really am in a separate world and like there's all these different cultures within it, because not everyone just sounds normal to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like there are a few voices that just sound, what I'm used to, but because there's all these little nuances in the speech and stuff like that, it comes a lot more alive. There's actually a little bit of that in the writing, like how the Gormott have kind of their own dialect, like how they say like ma and da instead of mom and dad and stuff like that. Like there's certain dialects like that even within the game world, further compounding on the accents.
Mm-hmm. And, I did the Japanese-English comparison, and some Japanese voice actors I think are a bit stronger, but I think for, like, Nia, I think her voice actress sounds a little too young. Doesn't really have the sharpness that the English Nia has. But then the one that's Azurta sounds awful, Gramps.
You showed me the clip. Like you were just like, okay, go to the video. The first thing that I show is the comparison of Rex and Azurta at the very, very beginning in the opening cutscene, and I skip ahead to the Japanese part, and the part that I land, and he goes, oh.
Exactly. It's like, what the heck is that? And especially because the English, it's like, it feels good. Like feels good. Like it feels natural. It's like, what the hell is he doing?
He has such a deep booming voice, like in the American one though, but it just like, dude, you're like 50 feet tall and like really old, and like, I think that a booming voice is a lot better for that. It's funny though, because a lot of people like didn't like his performance in the direct, where he was a lot more high pitched and it like, didn't even loosely match the mouth movements though. Mm-hmm. But no, like I think in game Azurta has a fine voice actor, and I agree with you with preferring him over the Japanese.
Another personal favorite of mine is Bana. Like, Japanese Bana is fine, but English Bana, I love how he rolls some of his voice, like some of his lines.
Just like,
yeah, exactly. It just adds that much more of a flair.
Hello, Rex.
Exactly. I love Bana. He's such a great character. Just this weird Nopon that's like the Nopon that's just all about the money, and he's so much bigger than everybody else. And I like how the Nopon, I'm so used to the squeaky Nopon from 1, and there's some Nopon here with some very deep voices.
You're killing me, because you played X first, so to you they're Nopon.
Yeah, so I have to get into the habit of going Nopon.
That hurts me.
I know.
So much that there's actually a segment of Xeno fans that call them Nopon because it's what they know. But
I am getting into the habit of going with Nopon, though, after playing 1 and 2.
I don't know why they changed that, and only to change it immediately back.
I have no idea. That's very weird, but I will say Torah might be my favorite Nopon companion.
Oh yeah. I don't know if I want to like make such a bold claim, because I haven't 100%ed this game yet, so I haven't seen all that he has to offer, but I think I might feel the same way about that. I'll say at least I like him better than Tatsu, but that's not really super hard.
He's definitely better than Tatsu, and for me, I think what pushes him over the edge a lot is he's a lot more plot significant than Ricky ever was. Like, it always kind of bothered me that Ricky just sort of came out of nowhere. It's like, by the way, here's a Nopon companion that you're going to have for you're shackled with now because we're trying to help you, but he's also the Nopon hero because he's in debt.
Ricky's best moments were in the optional moments in the heart-to-hearts, with the exception of one cutscene. You know the one I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
But when it comes to Tatsu, I know that he wasn't super relevant to the plot because in interviews they had stated that they had the story for X fully created and like almost finalized, and the last two things that they changed at the last minute were they added Tatsu. Originally, there were no Nopon in the story. They added Tatsu at the very last moment, and they made Cross a mute. So that's why those concepts, why some people are a little bit off-put by them, I think, because they were the very last things they changed about the story. So they couldn't make Tatsu really instrumental to the story because he was one of the last things they added.
Yeah. So, I mean, as my first Nopon, I didn't get too annoyed by Tatsu, but he also didn't really bring anything to the table. So when you got to Ricky and you got to Torah, it's just so much better. And Torah's relationship with Poppy is so good.
Oh yeah, Torah has so many heartwarming moments. It's really funny. I saw this article, like I don't want to like name drop though, where they were just like, Torah is like the most annoying, like crappy character, and like how did they not learn from Ricky? He's just as bad. And I find that so surprising that anyone can say that, because Torah is the calmest, quietest, most level-headed Nopon party member, and he doesn't have like a high-pitched, silly voice or anything. Like, he sounds normal. He's not like yelling and screaming. He
doesn't have this self-inflated sense of doesn't have this really inflated sense of importance.
No, he doesn't have that, and like, if anything, like, without, like, giving away too much of the plot, like, he's kind of the brains of the group early on. Like... Yeah,
pretty much, and kind of stays that way.
Yeah, like, he's a smart, intelligent character who's not, like, yelling and screaming or, doing, like, silly, bumbling antics that are distracting from the plot. I really love the words bumbling antics anymore, but, yeah, like, I saw an article like that about reviewing the game, and I'm just like, were we playing the same game, or do you just like have like a really like predisposition to not liking the Nopon? Because I thought I think Torah might be the best Nopon party member we've ever had, and at the very least I can say that it feels like they learned a lot from Tatsu.
Yeah, I think so. I think they knew a better way to go about it, and I don't know, it has this fun design, and he's just really endearing. Like he's almost a constant in my party.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. I wasn't using him a lot toward the end though, but I actually felt kind of bad for not using him as much toward the end, because I'm just like, no, you're a good character. I really like you. So no, Torah gets my stamp of approval easily.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't talk about my favorite character in the game because I don't want to spoil anything.
They're a good one
from later on, but oh my gosh. I love this character so much, and they bring, I don't know, just the right sense of style to this game. I don't know. It's something a little different, but I just enjoy it. I can't, unfortunately, get into it too much, but yeah, I hope other people like this character as well.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about, and it's a goodie, though. But let's not waste too much time on that if we can't even, like, say what it is.
Exactly. We don't want to tease or anything like that. So let's go back to the combat, because in my opinion, this is the best combat Xenoblade has ever had, and I've said that multiple times at this point.
Easily can agree with that assessment. I thought it was going to be really slow and tedious and a lot more methodical than before, and I wasn't really sure if it would be satisfying, because one thing that I will not change about the slow beginning, in my opinion, is that a lot of early game enemies, I was knocking them out before I even got a chance to use one art, where I was just watching Rex auto-attack for, 10 seconds, and then the fight would be over before I even got one of my arts charged up. That does happen, but as they introduce more mechanics, it gets better and better, and every mechanic flows into the next one, and it's so good, and like your skills make the battles faster paced, which I think is a good thing to do, because you are making the battles faster paced like as you level things up, though, so it's like at will you are choosing to make the battles go faster.
Yeah, and you're just getting better and better, and you learn these systems, and it just goes into one another, and you don't very likely won't even use all the systems all the time, because sometimes you'll be strong enough. You don't need to go all out for every battle. It's just you can build up to it and attempt to do it. But in attempting to do those later ones, you take them out just fine. And I love the idea. It finally came to me as I was putting together that combat guide to just help out people in case they were having issues. How, auto attacks lead into the arts lead into the specials lead into the elemental combo that you can do, the blade combo as they call it, and that powers up the chain attack that you can eventually do. And that's
and all
of
the...
Oh, go ahead.
No, saying, and all at the same time, you also have the driver combo where you have break, topple, launch, and smash. And if you make those two happen at the same time, you get huge bonuses.
You get bonuses where you power up your other arts and extend the time you have to do your blade combo. It's like just so good. It is so satisfying.
Do you also know that your reward for winning a battle is doubled if you win with a chain attack?
I figured as much. I still don't do it because I'm so I think that is my one weakness, is I don't use the chain attack that much unless I'm going for that elemental burst.
It's a bit of a risky play, though, because you are giving up 3 revives, and I feel like there were a few times in this game where an enemy could full health to death me in, one hit, basically, so I was being a little sparing with using it, though, but I'm sure on a second playthrough, when I really know what I'm doing, then I'll probably use it a lot more, just because I'll know what to expect, and I'll know, how to equip my characters for different situations.
Yeah, I think a second playthrough, you'll fully understand what you need to do at what points, and it's still fun. I'm not disparaging that way. A second playthrough will be much better, but you know how it is. When you're more informed, you can take advantage of a lot of things a lot more and really just get through this a lot easier.
And besides, you guys have these videos where we tell you what not to do that we did.
Exactly. Learn from our mistakes.
We're the guinea pigs for you.
Exactly. Alright, we still have plenty more to cover when it comes to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, so be sure to come back for part 2, where we give our thoughts on the other aspects of its gameplay. Thanks for watching, and if you liked this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And of course, make sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Xenoblade and other things gaming as well. Until next time, bye!